Some marvellous news from Robert over on the PMDG forum regarding the release of the PMDG 737 from Microsoft Flight Sim. He now confirms, and to quote, that it's entering the home stretch. That means hopefully, if all things go to plan, it's coming very soon. In today's video, I talk about the recent forum post that gives us some information about release, about the fidelity of the product, about pricing, and about the future of it, which is quite promising. Without further delay, let's get right into it. So all information in today's video comes off the forum, so I'm not dealing with any outdated information here. Let's start off with the top bit. Robert Radazzo, who is kind of the front of house media lead over at PMDG, as well as a tester and developer, and of course not forgetting the founder of PMDG. So he knows his stuff, and chances are if you watched the video on the 737 before, either by me or elsewhere, you would have heard of Robert. Now Robert has said that he's happy to report that they are rolling up on the end of the initial development of the 737-700. And they're pushing through beta testing, and they're very happy with the level of the quality now. He says that he anticipates over the next week that they'll finalise the release date for the product, which means hopefully we'll be getting a release date soon. There's the big news, it's coming very soon by the looks of it. Now, as we already know, there's going to be other variants of the 737 that's coming out. The first one, as I've said many times in this video, will be the 737-700. The package will include the 737-700 in passenger, cargo and Boeing business jet variants. This will be the initial product. There is of course a level of differences between these variants, with the 700 and 800 being very similar, but of course if you're looking at a business jet variant versus a cargo variant, there's going to be more differences there. So therefore it's about looking at what product you want. If you don't want the 700, don't buy it straight away. If you want the 800, you will have to wait, as I'll establish later in this video. It makes perfect sense, and it's a pretty good business model in my opinion anyway. He states, for example, that the Boeing business jet variants will have options such as 0 to 9 auxiliary fuel tanks, and of course a custom cabin. Quite nicely as well, he also says that these aircraft will feature a customised pushback cart, or tug I should say, that you can drive yourself using your own hardware controls if you like. It's that level of immersion that PMDG are going for that I quite like, and of course many people have come to love. It will include hundreds of customizable options, failure modes and realism selections that allow you to match your 737 to just about any configuration in the real world. That's a direct quote there, so let's hope they live up to that. I'm sure they will. So of course PMDG are aiming for a high fidelity, and we know we'll be getting the Dash 700 first. But what about after? Well, he says at approximately 6-week intervals they'll be adding a new 737 package to the line, including the 737-600, the 737-800, which is of course going to be the most popular one, and the 737-900. Doesn't say what order he's going in, but 6 weeks between them all isn't that long to wait. Personally, I might wait out for the 737-800, depending on the price, more on that later. I like the way they're going with this. It means you get to pick and choose what aircraft you want. You don't just have to buy a bundle with a group of variants, and hopefully this keeps the price as low as possible, allowing the consumer to be king here really. It's a very respectable way of doing it. It doesn't force the hand of anyone. I really quite like that. He also states that the first 24 weeks of release of these aircraft will see the point where additional features are introduced. Now these aren't features that are fundamental to these aircraft, they're nice little add-ons that you'll see within 24 weeks after the individual release. A bit confusing. He says it's sort of like early access, but not really basically, because of course you're getting a high quality product off the bat. It gives the example of an all-new cockpit tablet, an EFB. Now there will be more details on this in the future, but it's just going to be an upgrade. Small things like that will improve the quality of the aircraft. Another example is new cabins, remade to a higher detail than what will be released initially. That's not to say the ones released initially will be bad, because they won't be, it's a PMDG. But by the looks of it, they're going down the route of adding more customization options, because 24 weeks is basically half a year. And then after that, they'll of course phase away, keeping the 737 updated, but not as updated as frequently as before, because by that point you'll find most of the features have been introduced. Excitingly, he says after the 24-week period, work on the 777, the 777, will be prioritised. But importantly, he anticipates that continued support and tweaks for the 737 series will be made for many years to come. Direct quote there. Last few things to finish up on in this post. He says how is performance? It remains rather good, supposedly. Even though they spent the last few months improving the aircraft in terms of sounds, buttons, textures, modelling, everything like that, performance remains good. He gives the example of Dwozeki Design's Renton Airport, which I love. It's one of the best out there. Here's a link to a video I made there, pretty impressive. And of course they've got a PMDG 737 MAX there. He says on a 2080 Ti with an early i9, which is a Intel processor, the 737 is very smooth, with frames nearing 40 to 45 FPS, smooth as silk. Now that of course is a beefy computer, but with the likes of the 30 series now becoming more commonplace, an increasing amount of people will be able to have a similar system to that. I'm getting there. I wouldn't say I'm up there with a 2080 Ti, but my computer's not far off. Of course, Renton is a really heavy scenery. I mean, just look inside the factory, it moves. So that is really pushing the sim to the limit, I'd imagine. At default locations, such as Foxtrot Mike Echo Echo, which is an airport on the French island of Réunion, he's saying we're getting mid to low 50 FPS. So that's pretty good. That allows me to draw a few predictions. I think for most people we'll be looking at a solid 30 FPS. For mid to high range computers, at default locations you'll be looking at 40 FPS, and of course, like the computer he gives as an example, for high systems you'll be looking at 40 to 50 FPS. I think that's something to get quite excited for. Finally, with pricing, he doesn't give an exact number, but he says to be allocated, but he thinks we'll be pleased. I hope they go with the business model of keeping it as affordable as possible to attract the masses. I think that's what they're going for. Everything so far seems to appeal to that. We're not going to be looking at 100 UK pounds for an aircraft like the old days of PMDG aircraft. I'm going to make an off-the-cuff prediction, maybe 50 UK quid. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but that's what I'd expect. Who knows, I might be bang on, I might be completely incorrect. Leave your thoughts down below. Finally, the 737 MAX will be coming, as we've already established, and we get this nice cockpit shot here of the Boeing 737 next generation, not the MAX. And you can see it looks very nice, although it's certainly going for that more clean look, which some people prefer. There we have it, guys. Plenty of news from Robert over on the PMDG forum. You can find the link in the description. It's really awesome how well he keeps us up to date, so let's give a big thank you to him. We're very excited for the PMDG 737, frankly, who wouldn't be? Last few things I want to say, a big thank you to my first class channel members. They get a shout out on the screen now. You guys really do help me out. It means so much to have you guys on board, so thanks. And of course, thank you for coming along and watching. You just sitting there, watching on your phone or your computer or even your Xbox or PS4, maybe while you're flying on Microsoft Flight Sim, really does support me, so I'd like to say a big thank you to you guys. I know the world's a bit dark at the moment, but I hope this news brought some light into your day today. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see you around. Good day, my friends.